Hi, and thank you for joining me for day 2 of 30 Days of Sketches with Christie's Beautiful Life. You'll see the sketch in the top left-hand corner there, and this sketch is by Jessica Fenn Hill. I'll put her details in the comments box down below. So you can see there are 2 torn corners there, so I'm going to use Print Shop to document these. That's Print Shop from Vicki Boutin, to document these photos of my son and my dad on a welding course last year. They were welding pumpkins with a lovely man called Van the Welder, who we've used quite a lot for a shoe rack and pumpkin and fire pit in our garden. He's a really lovely local man. So first of all, I cut the 3 photos down. They were printed as 2x3 photos, one of my dad and one of James, and then there's the one of the 2 of them together, and that was actually a 4x6 photo, and it had another pair of people on there that I didn't really want on my page because they're nothing to do with us. So I trimmed that photo down to 3 inch by 2 inches probably, and then the other 2 are slightly bigger, about 2.5 inches. So I just trimmed those down slightly so that they fitted in more with that 3rd photo. I don't know who I am, but again today I'm using a pattern paper background. Now admittedly it's not particularly patterned, it's just a ledger paper from the Print Shop collection, but I decided that I really want to focus on using this up now. So much of it is gone, but there's still quite a bit there left to use, and it's a beautiful collection, so I want it in my albums rather than just sitting on my shelf, and then that will give me a free space to replace it with Vicky's next collection, which is already going to be here very soon. So it's constant, isn't it? So I've torn the corner off to add to the bottom right hand corner of my layout, and I'm just rolling up the edges. I thought this navy blue paper worked really nicely with the photos of Dad and James because they've both got navy blue in their outfits. And then I'm going to accent with some reds as well where I can. So just using my Sticks 2 tape runner to stick this corner down. You can see it ran out just as I was adding the glue there, but there was enough to get that adhered to the page. And those photos have been matted onto white cardstock and then onto black cardstock. So now I'm just creating the corner in the top left. So just adding some glue where I want this to go, sticking it down and then trimming off the excess, just so that I've still got some straight edges on that paper to use in the future. So being a bit lazy, rather than grabbing my scissors and making a mess, I'm using my trimmer, but it won't all fit in my trimmer, so I have to trim some of it down there, and then I can turn it around and trim the full edge off here, and then I'll just trim that last strip down. And if you know me, you know I'll probably use that on a future layout anyway. I do like to use these little bits and pieces. So just rolling up the edge again, and then I'll glue down those bits that aren't quite stuck down, just to make it nice and neat. And then I can start working on the top. And I decide that where Jessica's got that row of 3, what I imagine would be photos, I'm going to use a film strip. And I just have one piece of the salsa film strip left from 49 Market, and it just happened to be a 3 whole piece, so that's the one I'm using, and I'm going to layer it over this navy blue one. Again, I think this is the last piece of the navy blue that I've got as well. I do love these film strip frames. So I pulled out the Autumn Harvest Market again from Simple Stories that I used yesterday, and just adding a couple of the pumpkins at the bottom there, but I decided I needed to stick the photos down before carrying on. So I'm going to use 3. And I've focused on different colours and the ones with the vines, because the pumpkins that Dad and James have made, you can see in that photo on the left hand side, are lined pumpkins, and then you can put a candle in the middle. So now I'm using the tickets that I've pre-stamped from my Ellie Studio label stamp, so one in red and one in navy there. And then I'm also bringing in one of the grey tickets from the 49 Market Ticket Essentials. As soon as I saw this, it's like a paint roller, isn't it, with the word create, I decided that would work brilliantly for these photos. So I've got that there. In fact, I do switch that out, but for now that's up there. And then I just wanted to start working on a little cluster on the left-hand side. Jessica's got leaves on hers, but I decided that I wanted to bring in just some of the bits that I've got left over from Print Shop. So just working with papery pieces and deciding what to add there. That tag is the tag is from the 6x8 paper pad that I cut out. I switched out the 7 of hearts, 7 of diamonds for one that says little details. And I'm thinking about using them both, but I decided not to. And then I find this little piece that says good morning sunshine, and I think that works nicely. This little clip says here. So I'm adding that at the top, and I'm going to layer it with some other big pieces. So first of all, this little tab that says 3. I've moved this create piece down to that left-hand cluster, and I do like the look of it there. And when I was editing the video, I thought, why didn't I leave that? It looks really cute, but it does get moved. So the title is Welding Pumpkins. So I brought in my Bella Boulevard Florence alphabets to put the word pumpkins in navy. And surprisingly, looking at how few letters I have left on these chipboard letter sheets, I do still have enough to write the word welding. I did have to create the I from an H, I think I used, and the N is actually an upside down U, but I managed to do it. So this is where I switched that create piece to making, because this is on the chipboard stickers, and I thought that that would look really nice, and it gives a different texture and dimension to the page. So using that, and then here's the other piece that I'm going to layer up in that top cluster. And it just says this thing, and it's a chipboard piece, so that wears nicely. So just fiddling about at the bottom here with some bits and pieces. I've got the JD3D wood heart, the wood veneer heart there, and then I'm bringing in some of his chevrons at the top there. And I've also got one of the Vicki Boutin print shop hearts, chipboard hearts, that I'm layering with that wood veneer heart there. I will also bring in a ticket from the 49er Market Ticket Essentials there as well. So just gluing all these pieces together and being careful to add the glue more or less where it won't be seen. So behind that making chipboard piece, and then I do add a little bit more across the film strips just to hold it in place. But I tend to do it where they're overlapping one another so that it's not quite as obvious. I think it dries clear anyway, so it's not, you don't really notice it, but much better to have it in places where it's hidden. And then adding these chevrons just to complete that top. And like I say, that's where Jessica's put her leaves, but I decided to use these wooden chevrons instead. So just getting those stuck down, and then I can go back to that main cluster. So gluing all these bits down, because I've tucked everything in behind stickers, but it's not actually adhered down to the layout. Adding some glue to the chipboard pieces as well, just to keep them in place. So now I'm going to add my journaling, and I've got the lines on the ledger paper, so that's perfect. And I just said, I booked you on a pumpkin making day with the lovely Van the Welder, and you had an absolute blast. Welding, cutting, grinding, such fun. So now some wax twine into that tag. And I realised that I put my journaling there, so I just had to be a bit careful about where I was going to let that wax twine go. So adding some big bobs of glue to hold it in place. They'll dry clear, so I'm not too worried that they're quite big. And here's that other ticket I was talking about that I've added to the bottom. And then another one at the top there, just filling in that little cluster. So I've got the tickets in 3 places, that top cluster, the bottom right hand cluster, and the bottom left hand cluster. So just mirroring what I've done around the page. And that one I decided to use the reverse of the ticket. I didn't really like the black showing. So just adding the date here in a couple of places and putting it at the bottom of the journaling, and then also at the bottom underneath that Good Morning Sunshine piece. I was worried it wouldn't show too clearly on there if I just had it there, so I had it in a couple of places. So now finally some splatters with black soot from Tim Holtz, and also my gold Heidi Swap Colour Shine. And that's it. Please do check the description box down below to see Jessica's details, and also the playlist of everybody else who's playing along on this fabulous harp. Thank you so much, Christie, for organising it. I really do enjoy this so very much. It's great having sketches to work from, and it really gets your mind working on how you can make it your own. Thanks again, and I shall see you all tomorrow for day 3. Thanks so much. Bye.